Welcome back to Theresa's Dead. My name is Theresa and I'm very much alive. I have an awful garbage filthy mouth, so viewer discretion is advised. But if you're not into that or weird shit in general, this is definitely not the place for you. Feel free to exit the video here. No harm, no foul, but I'll remember our time fondly. Why hello my little pumpkins. Yes, it's 6 a.m. so it's baby air horns. In today's video, we get to finally talk about the Danessa Myricks palette. I know, finally, right? This baby retails for $125. Yes, this bitch is expensive, but is she worth it? Let's see if I wasted my money or not. But before I get all Andy Rooney here, we have a sponsor for today's video. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring and supporting my garbage antics in today's video. If you've never heard of Skillshare, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for all creators. You can explore new skills or deepen existing passions and get lost in the beautiful caverns that are your creativity. Skillshare has so many classes that the list is endless. From video to design to illustration to productivity to gardening to even self-care. Whatever you want to do, Skillshare probably has a class for that. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads. And they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused wherever your creativity takes you. As you know, I am a Libra. Listen, as a Libra, my mind changes all the time, okay? I don't have to tell you that twice. So that's why I really like Skillshare. Say I want to learn about editing one week and then I want to brush up on my Microsoft Excel skills the next, I can. With most classes being under 60 minutes, these short lessons fit any schedule or skill level. Since I'm approaching Deadmas, yes, I am doing Deadmas, a time where I'll be posting every day for the month of December, I need to be organized, right? Because otherwise it's impossible to do this. So I need to get organized and I need to get organized fast. One incredibly helpful class is from Lindsay C. Holmes, and it's the Productivity with Evernote. Use one tool for everything. This class has taught me multiple ways to manage my to-do list, help solve productivity pain points, and improve my system on being productive without burning out like a dying star. Plus, Evernote is low-key amazing. If you don't believe me, try it. It will seriously blow your mind all over your face. Skillshare wants to inspire creativity and learning. So the offer will now provide new students with a 1-month free trial. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description box below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and y'all go support the sponsors that support your garbage queen. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this palette. Lightwork's Volume 3. Light up your look with 14 cosmic, otherworldly shades for eyes, cheek, skin, and more. The Lightwork Volume 3 Infinite Light Palette gives you 5 unique formulas, including duochrome gels, multi-chrome pigments, holographic powders, powder creams, and pressed glitters to create special effects that are truly out of this world. So I picked this up at Beautylish, and they currently have a deal right now where if you do purchase this palette, you do get the smaller Lightworks Volume 3 palette, and this palette pretty much just consists of the holographic powders, which in a way I think is nice because if you want to gift this, you can gift this to somebody, or if you want to, say, I don't know, have extras or backups of the holographic powders, you can have that. So it's nice, but in that same breath, I kind of almost wish maybe the shades were just a scotch different. However, considering it is the same shades, and if you are just purchasing this palette for yourself, you know, I kind of question, do you really need to have an extension of this palette? Like, honestly, are you ever really going to hit pan on these powders? Probably not, right? Like, I feel like actually hitting pan on a highlighter takes a lot of fucking effort. And that's coming from me, an alien slut queen. So a part of me wonders, like, if they could have done this a little bit differently and potentially made these different, I think that would have been a little bit better. But, you know, I'm just splitting hairs at this point. In any case, it's nice that you do get a free gift with purchase, basically. That said, the palette itself is like the standard Danessa Myricks packaging, which is pretty much that like faux croc leather. It's very sleek. You get a nice size mirror, and here is your color story. Now this is a 14 pan color story, so because it's $125, and y'all really like when I break it down by shade, I figured I would do that for this video because $125 is a lot of fucking money. So let's see if all the shades are awesome. I'm gonna start with the top shade over here, and that is the shade Polaris. Polaris is described as an opalescent yellow to a seafoam green duochrome gel. Try to say that 10 times fast. That's fucking impossible. Hands down, this is a beautiful shade. There's no denying that. But I'm not sure what the best application would be. And I say that because it's a gel shade. Since I have hooded eyes and this formula doesn't dry down, it's kind of a mess on me. But if you do put this shade over an existing shade, it does look cool, don't get me wrong, but the longevity is shit because the shade Polaris starts to eat the other shade underneath it, ultimately asserting its dominance, but that's besides the point. So now you're kind of left with this like gaping hole of a vagina on your face and you're like, what the fuck happened? If you use it on the face as say like a cream highlight highlighter, it's a little bit better, but again, it doesn't really dry down. And then if you put powder over it, kind of looks gummy. I don't know, like I'm not a fan of it. So if you are someone that doesn't set your face and you do really like that wet look, this could work. But for me, I like a wet look, but I also just, I can't let go of powder. I need powder. Even with the spray powder that I've been loving from Flower Beauty, that still looks a little funky. I don't know, powder and this particular formula just doesn't mix on my skin type, which is a dry mummy's dick, by the way. So in summation, if you're using the shade, you have a very short window of time. So once you're done taking 100 pictures of you just doing this face, which I know is kind of like a cross between Billie Eilish / Staring Into the Deadlights of Pennywise. After that, just wash your face. Give yourself some dignity, because in 3 hours, you're gonna look fucking horrifying. Or you could just pop it on your inner corner and go on your merry way. The next shade is Galaxy, and this is a multi-chrome pigment. And this has like a smoky teal green violet shift. This is a beautiful shade, and it's my favorite kind of multi-chrome because it's a black base multi-chrome. When it has a black base, it usually has the most substantial payoff, and you're really able to see the shift very clearly. That said, this is not really a unique color to my collection. I do have this shade in my collection, and I'm gonna throw up some swatch comparisons here. But at the end of the day, while yes, it might look exactly the same as say another brand, how does the formula stand up? It adhered nicely with a brush and some glitter glue, and it had incredible longevity. I find that with some indie brands, like it will look really sick, the multi-chrome, but the longevity is not so great. So you kind of really have to pack it on with glitter glue, and still then you might not have the best wear time. But with this shade, I didn't apply too much glitter glue, just a light layer, and it stayed on my face for more than 12 hours. I think longevity wise, this is fucking incredible. It also worked beautifully with the other formulas in this palette. The next shade is Martian, and this is a multi-chrome with like an icy blue-green, lilac, and a plum brown shift. This one is slightly different compared to the black base multi-chromes because it kind of feels like it has like either a brown or a gray base. So it's not as opaque as a multi-chrome with the black base. So while it is on the sheer side, it's still very lovely. It adhered nicely with a brush and some glitter glue, but if you want it to be more impactful, I recommend layering it over a darker base. There is a black shadow in this palette, and it works beautifully over that shade. So you can achieve that, whether you want more of like a celestial sheer moment or straight up punch to the face. Like you can achieve that with this shade. Then you have Soul, and Soul is described as a gilded khaki gold powder cream. This is a beautiful metallic shade, and probably next to the black shade in this palette, this is probably the most boring shade in the palette. Now, it's not a bad thing, but the majority of this palette is very dimensional, and this shade, it's just a fucking metallic shade. Still very pretty. It adhered nicely with a brush and some glitter glue, and it had great payoff with a finger as well, and really awesome longevity. Honestly, my favorite way to incorporate this shade is using it with the other multi-chrome Gaia, which is actually what I have currently on my face today. I have the gold metallic in the inner portion of my lid, and the middle I have Gaia, and then I finish it off with the black hole shade in the outer corner. And I think it's really beautiful when you use the shade in that capacity, but again, it's boring compared to the other formulas in this palette. The next shade is Orion, and I refuse to believe this is a shade. It doesn't exist in my world. This is a pressed glitter. If you're new here, I don't fuck with pressed glitters. I'm not in the mood to blind myself willingly, so I didn't use it, therefore I'm shunning it. This is dead to me. Moving on to the second row, which are the oversized pans, and these are your holographic powders. I'm going to talk about them as one, since I didn't notice any differences between them formula-wise. That said, while the formula feels a bit buttery, it's definitely chunky. Not full-on chunk, but when swatching them, you do see that they are textured. When applied to the face, you're going to notice that the product is pretty textured, but when you start to buff it out, it starts to blend beautifully into the skin. And since this formula has micro glitter in it, I'm happy to say I didn't emphasize any texture in the skin, so that's nice. The product does a really good job blending into the skin, and honestly, you really don't need a lot of it. You could probably only go in one time and you'll get this like alien slick glow. It has excellent longevity and basically makes you look like you have food poisoning, which I love in a highlighter. These shades are definitely not for the faint of heart. They have really evident shifts. If you want to be seen from outer space, these are for you. If you want to cut a bitch, these are for you. You will demand attention and everyone will listen to you. So you have 4 shades. The first one is Golden Eclipse, which is a sunset peach holographic powder. Then you have Strawberry Moon, a pink lilac holographic powder, Spring Equinox, sage green holographic powder, and Blue Moon Glacier Blue Lavender Holographic Powder. On the face, it's fantastic. On this side, I have Spring Equinox, and on this side, I have Strawberry Moon. And honestly, I don't think you can tell from this far away that one side's green and one side's pink. It's something that you really need to see in person. I think I really like the pink one the best. Something about like a slutty pink highlighter that I absolutely adore. The green one is super pretty, so don't think you're gonna look like you're sick, like you've been out to sea on a fucking cruise ship. No, like you look really good. Like it's like, oh, very slutty and natural of you to have this green highlighter on your face. It's very, very beautiful. And honestly, again, cannot stop eye fucking myself in the monitor. I love it. Anyway, so say you don't want to use them as a highlighter, that's fine. You can use these all over the lid. However, they are very sheer, so it does pair well when you're using a darker base underneath it, or you can use it as an inner corner highlight. However, if you do use it as an inner corner highlight, you will experience crumbliness, and there's going to be a fair amount of glitter bukkake when using it. Now, the fallout for the most part is easy to clean, but you are going to experience a rogue sparkle or two. And oh, I forgot to mention this, when you are layering it over a matte shade, I did use some glitter glue, and I found that not only was the shade pretty impactful, but it had a great longevity. So just a heads up there if you choose to use those on your lid. So finishing out this row, we have Spacesuit, and this shade is described as a fiery coral, blood orange, and honey duochrome gel. It's a very pretty shade. Again, much like Polaris, it looks cool until it doesn't. This shade as a face highlighter or an inner corner highlight is way too dark on my skin tone, which by the way, my skin tone resembles the bottom of a beignet bag, powdered sugar and all. So it's a cool fucking shift, but I just have no use for it. Moving on to the next shade, Aurora, and this is another multi-chrome pigment that's electric plum, fuchsia, and has an olive green shift. You know, I think when people think multi-chromes, I think this is the shade that they think of. Formula-wise, it's fucking awesome. So I'm gonna throw up some swatch comparisons here. Again, it's another black-based multi-chrome. It's incredibly opaque, has amazing longevity, and I didn't experience any issues applying or with the wear time. I used glitter glue, and I didn't experience any weird texture issues as well. This shade was incredibly awesome. Now the next shade is Gaia, and it's described as a multi-chrome pigment with a copper, bronze, and emerald shift. This again is yet another black-based multi-chrome, and again another shade that's not really unique to my collection. So I normally tend to go for more green multi-chromes because I'm always on a fucking quest for green, and I have this particular kind of shade I feel like a few times over, but honestly it really doesn't matter because I cannot have enough of it. Because again, not every multi-chrome is created equally. Yes, they can all look the same or swatch the same, but really it kind of depends on the wear time of the formula. That said, you know, when it comes to the multi-chromes in this particular palette, they are fucking consistent across the board. These operate very much like the other black-based multi-chromes in this palette, have amazing longevity. I have no issues whatsoever. I think out of all three of them, this one's my favorite because I am a swampy bitch. What can I say? The next shade is Solar Rain, and this is another multi-chrome that is described as having a pearl peach, key lime, and a platinum shift. As soon as I saw this shade, it reminded me of the Phoenix shade from Terra Moons, and I fucking love that shade. Like, I love that shade. So I was curious to know how the formula was compared to that shade. But I have to thank Millie from Bad to the Brow, and if you're not following her, you should. She's fucking amazing. And I'm gonna link her channel down below, but I didn't realize this, but I don't know why, it just like totally slipped my mind for the G'day shade in the Glaminatrix U Beauty palette. I would say it's more spot on than my Phoenix shade from Terra Moons. Okay, and listen y'all, I'm not gonna fangirl, but I'm gonna fangirl for a moment here. I'm also gonna put Millie's Instagram down below. She has such good eye porn. I know that sounds weird, but she has a really good eye porn. Her looks are everything. Definitely go check her out. Anyway, this is a great multi-chrome, and it's kind of like the Martian shade. So this one's a little bit lighter. The shift is not as opaque unless you're using a darker base. However, as much as I love a jeweled multi-chrome, I love these more sheer shades because, you know, they're subtle, but they're complex. This adhered great with a brush, a finger, glitter glue. I didn't have any fucking issues whatsoever. This one was great. The last shade in this palette is Black Hole. I don't know why I kind of like almost giggled for that one. Oh, I am a 13-year-old boy. Okay, this is described as a cashmere black powder cream, and this is your only matte in the palette. That's it. Out of 14 shades, you only have one matte. And normally I would be like, oh, I wish there was more mattes in this palette, but I'm okay with that because all these shades are really, really beautifully unique and complex that all you really need is just that one darker base to really just show how beautiful some of these shifts are in this palette. That said, the shade is lovely. You know, it's pigmented, but if you do want it to have a more like substantial base, base, like you're obviously gonna have to build it up. But what I like about this kind of cream powder formula is that normally, you know, when there's like a black shade, like I will not put it in my crease, right? Like that's just like, no. This is the kind of shade you could put in the crease, but while you're blending, it does kind of sheer out to be more of like this kind of dark gray charcoal moment. And please know, like the blending doesn't take forever, like because it has like such a emollient texture, you're blending in literally no time at all. It's really nice. So in the crease, this looks really great. All over the lid, it's awesome. But my kind of primary use for this is not only as a lash line shade, but more as an outer corner shade. I'm just a slut for adding dimension to my looks. And I love that this particular formula pairs really, really well with everything in this palette. Everything just blends so seamlessly together with literally no effort. And I love that about this palette. The longevity is excellent. The only time I experience any sort of issues is when I use this shade with the gel shades, which makes sense because those gel shades can deteriorate like battery acid. So yeah, this was a good shade. In theory, for $125, I think this is fairly priced. Considering individual multi-chromes retail for around $15 to $20 a pop. Regarding the 5 multi-chromes in this palette, they are fucking solid. I experience amazing longevity. And kind of going back to my point that I made earlier in the video, sometimes you can get really amazing looking multi-chromes, but they're not super long lasting. These last for a very, very long time. I also didn't experience any flaking or texture issues as well. And if you do combine the multi-chromes, you kind of know that you're not going to see like every shift possible, but when you do kind of combine 2 of them, you can kind of make it look like a trippy oil slick moment. It's really pretty, but I do love how this formula can combine them together. It's just not going to be as a clear shift because, you know, your lid is only like fucking this big. You only have so much real estate space. The gel shades are a little bit lost on me. They look cool, they just don't last very long. The holographic powders make for beautiful alien slut highlighters. And of course the 2 cream powder shades, one being metallic, one being matte, they were both lovely. The black hole shade in particular kind of reminds me of the cream to powder formula from Natasha Denona, except I think I like this more than a Natasha Denona formula. And of course the metallic shade, it's nice, but it's a metallic shade, it's boring. And last but not least, we don't talk about that pressed glitter. That pressed glitter can eat my proverbial makeup deck. So for $125, 3 out of the 14 shades either don't work or don't work well. That's annoying because if you're going to be paying this price, you should be able to utilize everything. So listen, while I enjoyed this palette, I love the looks I created, I'm not getting my money's worth in theory because I can't really use everything. Now, that doesn't mean you can't. Everyone has different preferences. So if you can utilize some of these shades as more face powders, that's awesome. Then you could probably utilize the shit out of this palette. But for me, even using some of the duochrome gel shades as face products is just lost on me. So again, it comes down to preference. What works for you may not work for me or vice versa. That said, you know, I think about indie brands and I think about how, you know, you could, in theory, make this palette and pay significantly less. Listen, we're on the cusp of Black Friday sales, y'all. And this is when indie brands do their restocking. So you can get these multi-chrome shades or duochrome shades significantly less. Now, what I don't think this palette is like necessary to have, this actually has been really cool. I've been playing with it all week and it's been really fucking fun. But overall though, the quality is fucking solid. So if you are interested in checking this out, like I don't think you'll be disappointed, but really think about if you can utilize every shade. Think about that. And if you can, I'm not sure if this is going to be available during the Sephora sale, but if it is, I would say pick it up during the Sephora sale if possible. If not, if you do pick it up at Beautylish, know that you're going to be getting this other smaller palette. It's the same thing, so I don't know if you want that or if you want to gift it. Like, oh, it's on you. Now with that said, I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you're interested in picking this up or if you're going to be skipping out. Let me know because I love hearing from you. And with that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, it's free, and hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. To all my beautiful, wonderful patron bubbies, thank you so much for keeping this delicious, disgusting, trashy, filthy, really gross, really nasty, but fun garbage boat afloat. I couldn't do without you, and I love your adorable little delicious faces. If you want to know what is on my face, along with where to get this palette and bloopity blop blop and everything else, everything will be listed in the description box below. And I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.